Welcome to the Midwest Blitz. It's college football comfort food for the Midwest soul. Now, here are your hosts, Coach Drew and Big Nick.
Welcome to another edition of the Midwest Blitz. It's getting close to the college football playoffs, but playoffs. Anyways, we're getting there, and we're going to get you started here with a recap of the Army-Navy game. Yup.
So, America's best tradition in college football, maybe not Michigan, Ohio State, but the best tradition in America relating to football is Army-Navy. Navy takes down Army 17-16. Navy improves to 10-2. Army goes to 6-6. Blake Horvath in this game led his team to victory in such a way, Coach Drew, that I never would have suspected. If you would have told me before the game this kid has 3 fumbles and throws an interception, I would have been like, Black Knights take victory. My Black Knights. I'm not an alumni, but I got family that went there. I love this game. I love this rivalry. Blake Horvath, 3 fumbles, 1 interception. So I'm watching this game and I'm thinking, God, this guy's lucky. He gets lucky over and over again. They should have lost this fumble. They should have lost that fumble. And then as the game concluded and Navy converted a 4th and 1 to finalize their victory and run the clock out, I remembered and realized Blake Horvath's not just lucky. Blake Horvath is a leader. He's a stud. He's a badass. There's a reason why he was a Heisman candidate at a service academy at the beginning of the year. Blake Horvath takes chicken salad.
And makes chicken poop.
Timestamp,
Yep.
please.
Minute. Got it.
Blake Horvath takes chicken shit and makes chicken salad. That's why he has the option magician badge on the video game, Coach Drew. An option quarterback really is like a magician. I know some of you don't realize that Navy still does run the option despite that they have spread passing game incorporated in their offense. Horvath ran the ball 34 times. To run the ball 34 times and throw it 14 or 15 and not have a few mishaps with ball handling in a game, Coach Drew, which you pointed out to me accurately, where the real goal here is not just to win the football game, but it's to smash the other team in the mouth over and over again, because this is a literal pissing contest between 2 branches of the armed services, in a sense, and we love that. It's old school football. It's like football played in a time machine in the best way possible. I fucking love it. Cale Helms, the quarterback for Army, ran the ball 20 times. And this really was just let's try to take each other's lunch money type of football game. Physical, the flyover, the flags, the president there. The president flips sidelines at halftime as he salutes all the cadets while he crosses the field. It really is a beautiful American tradition, the Army-Navy game. It doesn't have any national title implications, but it's about as fun to watch as any football game, really, if you just want to sit on the couch and enjoy yourself. So thank you to the Service Academy kids. Thank you for writing rivalry letters last week to graduates of both service academies. Man, I don't think we have Blake Horvath again next year, but he's been really fun to watch, Coach Drew. What do you got? What do you got about this game?
Yeah, it's really just 2 old school football programs that played a great game against each other. It was a lot closer than some might think. I mean, on my end, I thought Navy was going to pull away and just blow out Army because they were going to pass. But when they play this game and you look back into the stats, you see something that's very unique. They play smash mouth football on both ends of the ball, like Army and Navy. It's almost like, hey, we're not going to physically knock each other out, but we're going to wrestle and tussle and do everything like that. That's what the triple option brings. Everybody, hands on deck. We're going to move some motion guys. We're going to stack us. It's our best 11 against your 11, and we're going to see what happens. Isn't that right, Nick?
Oh, yeah, man. If I could write a movie about the Army-Navy rivalry in the modern day, I would write a script that went just like this. Army had the lead basically the whole game. Navy took the lead towards the end. Then it becomes clock management, ground and pound, physical football. The only thing I would change if I could write the movie is that Army would win the game because my sister went to Army. And God love her and God love all the cadets at West Point. Honestly, Coach Drew, as we talked about the other day, these kids that graduate the service academy, whether they play football or not, they are the brightest, sharpest, most hardworking, most disciplined young people in the United States of America. I've been there. On their day off, they put their sweats on and they go for a jog and they work out. Now, they do sneak out for a beer here and there, I'm sure, but It's really fun to watch the game. It's really heartbreaking to me every year. I sound like a big pussy right now, but it's really heartbreaking to me that somebody has to lose a game this close, because this is the treat of their whole school year, is the chance to play this football game on a big stage with, not just the president, but a bunch of bigwigs from the Army and the Navy are there. Pretty fun deal. Go Army, but Navy triumphs 17-16. Great job by Horvath, Alec Teska, and the midshipmen.
Yeah, returning the prisoners is actually a pretty cool thing. We didn't really touch on that in our pregame for this,
Yeah.
but they do select cadets from each school and then they swap them, and it's called a prisoner exchange. So basically, that student has to go to Navy and learn how to do Navy things, and the Army guy they flip flop schools, and it's just one of those things where you go, could you imagine like Iowa State and Iowa doing that?
I'm not sure I trust that, Coach. Sure, I love people from Iowa. People from Iowa hate people from Iowa State, and people from Iowa State hate Iowa. I'm not sure I trust how that would go down. At least there is some decorum and discipline with the military academies. But yes, this is a very fun thing to think about. With a normal college outside the military academies, I'm picturing like some frat hazing level shit that I'm not sure would end well. The other thing
Ohio
you get
State,
with Army
Michigan
and Navy
wouldn't
is
end well.
What's that? At Michigan, it wouldn't end well?
Michigan, Ohio State wouldn't end well. I don't know. Prisoner exchange.
Jesus, definitely.
They're like, wait a minute, these are the kids we sent over there. We're like, yeah, these are the kids. See, look, it's just random people they found on the street.
My imagination runs wild, Coach Drew. So they kidnap the kid from the other school and then they send back some rando. Is that what we're getting at here?
Yeah.
Michigan, Ohio State are capable of that. I will say this, Michigan, Ohio State wise, I rewatched this today, that the Ohio State players tried to bring a flag on the field because they were at Michigan this year, and last year we had the flag planting incident. And Ryan Day and his staff did a really good job of telling the kids, hey, we're not doing this shit again. We're not embarrassing anybody. We're not having another fist fight on the field after the game. Drew, nobody loves a little wanton violence and destruction more than me, but the stuff that got out of hand during the Ohio State-Michigan game last year was even over the line by my standards. So I was proud of Ryan Day and his staff for stopping kids from coming out with flags and all that. Funny we got on that side note, but I did see a clip of that today, and I was like, good job, Ryan Day. Good job, Buckeye staff, for not allowing it to devolve into like a street brawl again. We don't really want that. We want the fight to happen during the game, not after the game, if we can control it. Another thing about Army-Navy, sometimes boats and goats get stolen, which we referenced in our letters from the graduates of respective academies last week. But it seems that most of the boat stealing and goat stealing is a one-sided affair, but the other side won the game this year. So congratulations to the Naval Academy.
Like, I did like during the preview though, for the Army Navy, they show all the cadets, like they're doing like almost like end of the school year challenge. And for like elementary schools, what's that, field day? They're doing like a field day event. And one of the things is they're doing fireman runs up and down. Fireman carries up and down the hills, and it was Army, Navy, and they show like this like person who's a fan of Army. She's like, Army's so much stronger than Navy. Like, this is an easy task for them to do. And I'm just like, I couldn't really tell the difference on that one. But I will say, when they hopped into the river and he saw them paddling a boat, the Navy was like, the Navy and Army looked very different. It looked like Navy was sophisticated, like they know how to row boats, and Army was like, paddle, paddle, paddle. And they're all trying to paddle real fast together. And it looked really sloppy. I don't know if CBS did that on purpose, but I was like, ooh, that's not a good look for Army right there. And then they pan to them again, and then they look like they're like, wait a minute, we know how to paddle. But like, there was like this clip where they were just like not, I don't know, could have been at the end, but then they just clipped it differently. But it was just like, yeah, it wasn't a good look for Army paddling there. In comparison to Navy.
CBS has Naval Academy affiliations, which I do not approve of as an Army fan. But it is fun and funny to see all that stuff, for sure. If you ever get a chance to visit one of the academies, actually go there. I know I had a neighbor, Coach Drew, older gentleman. I used to help mow his grass and do like yard work for him, and he was a big fan of the Army-Navy game. And since my sister went to West Point, we would talk about the Army-Navy game, and Like, there's an image that's presented that is very rosy and very great. It's the best picture of what the cadets do at West Point. I'll speak for as someone who's been there. Like, it is the most nitty gritty shit you've ever seen. If you're a civilian and you've ever been afraid to go to basic training or heard like stories that you're like, oh, that sounds hard, dude, go to the academy and meet these kids and see what their day to day is like. They're like a warrior slash athlete slash being trained to be a Spartan superhuman. And if you can't cut it, they just boot your ass out of there. I mean, it's 16 hours a day, especially for the varsity athletes. It's tough stuff. It's real tough stuff. Growing up playing sports, I remember working out before school, after school, all this stuff. Like, none of it's easy when you have to do a lot of, double day workouts and stuff like that. That is 4 years at the military academies for sure, especially at West Point. So yeah, fun to see the kids get a spotlight during the game, and they'll all have a beer together someday. The Army and Navy people will.
Yeah, they are trained well. I mean, I celebrated besides watching the game here and there. I also went to the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, and I got to see the U-505 that was captured by the Navy in World War II, which is the size of a football field. So imagine how big that is, and they fit that in that building. And I also passed Soldier Field, which also has ties to the remembrance of Army and Navy.
So Soldier Field, Coach Drew, as we did our pregame investigation, or as I did mine, was actually called something else. And I believe it was opened in 1924, but in 1925, they played the Army-Navy game there, and that's when they changed it to, air quotes for audio listeners only, Soldier Field instead of Municipal Park Stadium or whatever it was before. So, yeah, Drew is a Chi-Town kid growing up around Soldier Field, appreciates that story. Yeah, I love the Army-Navy game. Honestly, it doesn't get enough hype, and the spotlight is brief for Army-Navy. It's like a drama that unfolds briefly every year. You ever see a video, Coach Drew? This is going to get way off the tracks, but do you ever see the motion capture of the flower that blooms once a year and then it dies like within a day? You know what I'm talking about? That's the Army-Navy game. For one day a year, football fans watch Army-Navy and we're intrigued by it. And then the rest of the year, we don't think about it. But it's an awesome thing that happens. It doesn't last very long. And then we move on to bowl season and the college football playoffs, which is probably where we're headed now.
Do you think the future of military academies is Space Force against Air Force?
Is this Quidditch? We're going to play an airborne game.
They're going to be playing in space.
My other brother's in the Air Force, and even he thinks that the Space Force are dorks. I think the Space Force people, good, bad, or indifferent, they're at the bottom of the totem pole of dorkiness right now. I'm not sure they're going to have any sports teams anytime soon.
All right. Well, do you want to go to awards, or where do you want to go next?
Coach Drew, there were some very prestigious awards handed out this weekend. The most prestigious, the greatest, the best. So over the weekend, most of the major college football awards were handed out. The greatest of all college football awards, and the award that I, as a child, thought was the greatest award in all of the world as a kid that loved football, is the Heisman Trophy, which was won by Fernando Mendoza, quarterback from Indiana. Most of you guys know that by now. This is another first for Coach Cignetti and his Hoosiers. A first in terms of program history. How many times, Coach Drew, have we heard, is this the biggest win in IU history? Is this the biggest win in IU history? Is this, over the last couple of years, it's a step, walking up the stairs. And this is one of the biggest first, maybe the best in the last 2 years, maybe short of the Big Ten title game. Fernando Mendoza wins the Heisman. His speech was full of happiness, gratitude. He talked about family, football. He had inspiring words for young people. This was beautiful. It couldn't have happened to a nicer kid. And the thing that I noticed the most about it was that he brought his brother Alberto, who was his backup quarterback at Indiana, and he also had his 12-year-old brother there. And his 12-year-old brother cried tears of joy while his older brother, his hero, I'm sure, accepted the Heisman Trophy with grace and dignity and without a shred of ego involved. It was very, very fun to watch. And, there were other candidates there that were worthy and great football players, but the way Mendoza handled it and the way he included his family and his teammates in the presentation was wonderful. And I just, as an IU fan, I don't think you could have it done any better with any more class. It will be memorable for sure. Mendoza's Heisman speech. I'm too close to it, Drew. What do you have to say about Mendoza winning the Heisman? I think that he deserved it based off the modern criteria, which is basically if you're the best quarterback on the best or on a very good team, you're the one that wins it. Maybe a great running back should be able to win it. Maybe a great wide receiver should be able to win it. We all know defensive players don't really have a chance to win it, and I don't really support any of those ideas. But if this is a quarterback-driven award now, Fernando Mendoza is a kid that it's fun to see him get the award because he appreciates it. What do you think, Drew?
Well, to cap off an undefeated regular season, winning the Big Ten championship, I mean, Indiana has never won the Heisman. This is the first time the Heisman Trophy has been presented to Indiana. I mean, what a way to cap off a career for Fernando Mendoza. Like, this is exactly what needed to happen. The other candidates, whether it was Pavia, Love, right, or Sean, like Julian lost to him, right? And a lot of people said this could be the Heisman thing, right? Julian didn't play well in the fourth quarter. Pavia, there was times this season where he didn't look like a Heisman candidate and lost games. And Jeremiah Love, well, a lot of people think that Notre Dame's schedule isn't strong. So, out of all those people that I just named, how could it not be Heisman Mendoza?
Fernando Mendoza, based on what you just said, Coach Drew, did deserve to win the Heisman because he is the most clutch player in college football. And honestly, I would say, and the old heads will remember this, and we can all cut it up later in the comments or when we go out for beers or whatever, I don't even think that Fernando Mendoza is the best IU football player of all time. I'm not even saying that, but this award is a team award, as Mendoza pointed out. Antoine Randall was my favorite player. He's still my favorite football player of all time. Anthony Thompson, for guys older than me, was second in the Heisman voting in the late 80s. We had guys from the Rose Bowl team in the 60s that old people remember. No offense by saying old people, but that just, there are other legends of the game. Adewale Ogunleye, Pro Bowler for the Drew Chicago Bears, was an awesome Indiana Hoosier. Mendoza was here at the right time. He helped us get to the mountaintop. So he is the name that receives the trophy. But as he said, he would leave the trophy in Bloomington for the team to celebrate because he's so humble. He didn't realize, as Coach Drew pointed out, that they leave a replica at the school anyway. But that's Fernando Mendoza, that he was like, I'll just leave this trophy here. And they're like, hey, you silly kid, there's two of them. There's a replica that stays at the school. And that made it fun. But as an IU fan, yeah, I mean, maybe he's not the best player in the country overall, or maybe he's not this, not that. But based on this being a quarterback-driven award in Indiana being the greatest story in sports right now, not just college football, I thought it was obvious that he would get it, not because I wanted him to get it. I did want him to get it, but I just felt like that was what was going to happen.
Fernando Mendoza has come in.
No, what do you got? The Maxwell? What are all the other ones? There's about a half dozen awards for the best player in college football. And by best player, it's usually a running back or a wide receiver. Mendoza got about 5 of them. But somebody else got one of them, Coach Drew, and it was Jeremiah Love got the Doak Walker Award. I placed a bet on this preseason that Jeremiah Love would be named the best running back in college football. We know that preseason, a lot of people thought that the Penn State Nittany Lions had the best running back room in the country. But in the back of my mind, I knew who the best running back was, and it was Jay Love from the University of Notre Dame. He also won the Disney Spirit Award, which was a sportsmanship and a inspiration award. A Mickey Mouse chiming in there from me and Coach Drew. But congratulations to Jay Love. The only thing about this is it's kind of a bittersweet consolation prize right now for Notre Dame fans who will not be participating in a bowl game, will not be watching the Notre Dame Fighting Irish playing a bowl game over this holiday season. Me and Coach Drew love bowl games. If you don't love bowl games and you don't like watching football with your family over Christmas, this probably isn't the show for you. I would have loved to have seen Notre Dame participate and play against BYU and beat the hell out of them in the Pop-Tart Bowl or whatever it was they were invited to, but they've declined to be there. So this is kind of the strange finale of Notre Dame's season, is Jeremiah Love receiving the Doak Walker, which I thought he would get. It kind of makes me sad. I know some of you guys are getting ready to leave a comment that, well, he wouldn't have played in that bowl game and Jadarian Price wouldn't have played in that bowl game. Well, Can't Aeneas Williams get some carries in the bowl game? I like Aeneas Williams. If you're an Irish fan, do you not think that Aeneas Williams might be back next year? Maybe he could get some reps in the bowl game. You don't think your freshman quarterback and other underclassmen who are coming up next year, you don't think that maybe they get a chance to play in a bowl game? Maybe that's good for development. The main thing about bowl games, as we've talked about here on the Midwest Blitz, is that it gives younger players a chance for development and game reps. And the Irish have declined that, which makes me sad. But I am very happy for Jeremiah Love, who did deserve the Doak Walker. I thought he was the best running back preseason, and he is named the best running back right now. Coach Drew, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, he also did not declare for the NFL draft yet. Nothing's official. Some people are wondering, because he was asked at the Heisman finalist, is he going to go, like, is it said at Notre Dame? Like, basically it was like trying to make it easy for him to say, and he's like, yeah, this might be it. Meaning he's going to the NFL draft. Listen, he loves the University of Notre Dame, okay? And that's perfectly fine. But it's time for the University of Notre Dame to love, and let him flock. This is his point value. We've seen him, yes, throw up the hearts. Always throw up the hearts in the chat. When Drew came back for Penn State this year,
Drew Aller,
he was supposed to take everybody in that room at Penn State, who's not there, most of those guys are gone, all the way to the national championship. They didn't play in the Big Ten, and they barely got 6 wins. And he's injured, and now he's faded. As far as like quarterbacks,
we don't want that to happen to Jeremiah Love. Do you mind if I cut in here, Coach Drew?
Yeah, you're good.
So in 1981, Indiana won the basketball national championship under Bob Knight, led by point guard Isaiah Thomas. And Isaiah Thomas was not from a well-to-do family all day, and Knight knew that his family could use the money. So after they won the title, Thomas came in to have an exit meeting, as all players did, with Coach Knight. And Coach Knight told Isaiah Thomas, you're declaring for the you're declaring for the NBA draft. And Isaiah Thomas was like, are you sure, Coach? I think we could win the national championship again next year. And Knight said, you've done enough for me. You've done enough for Indiana. You deserve to go get yours now. And that's how I think that all Notre Dame fans, or all fans of Jeremiah Love, feel right now. We don't want him to come back. I'd love to watch him tear it up in college again, but he's one of these guys, Coach Drew. In my mind, he's already graduated from college. He's already so good, he doesn't have anything to prove. And some people would say that about Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State, who we'll talk about here in a second. But Smith has eligibility. He's not eligible for the NFL draft yet. Love needs to get the hell out of South Bend and go get some money, and we'll enjoy watching him on Sundays, just like we do Kyron Williams and a lot of other Irish players in the NFL.
Yeah, and just to touch on Mendoza again, he got the Heisman Trophy, the Maxwell Award, the Walter Camp, the Davey O'Brien, the most likely to become president one day and kiss your firstborn child award.
Absolutely.
I mean, this guy, his trophy case is going to be like so packed. I kind of miss when the NFL used to do like MTV Cribs, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I just got drafted. He's like, this is my Heisman. This is all this. I mean, his trophy case is going to be like popping.
Coach Drew, there's not a parent in America that if Fernando Mendoza, my favorite quarterback in the world right now, wanted to kiss your baby as they ran for public office, that would say no. That guy's perfect. He's probably too perfect to run for public office, to be honest with you, but great kid, fun time. I will say for Pavia won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, if I'm correct about that. You can fact check me, which I'm glad Pavia got some hardware there, because Pavia had a great year. Pavia also talked shit about the Iowa Hawkeyes, and he's going to get a pay for that because they play Vanderbilt. So Diego Pavia, Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award winner, gets to face off against the Iowa Hawkeyes, who he talked shit about at SEC Media Day in the summer. And as we lean into that, Hawkeye fans, we love people from Iowa, me and Coach Drew do. And we want to talk to you about Logan Jones winning the Remington Award. O-line coach George Barnett. It's a proud day for him. It's a proud day for Kirk Ferentz. This has been O-line University, or at least one of the schools we call O-line University, for a while. Logan Jones is one of the most athletic linemen coming out in this year's NFL draft. He will be a future Pro Bowler. Just go ahead and write it down. Come check in with us later. This has been a fun offensive line group to watch all year. And not to steal any thunder from Logan Jones, but this might be a fun defensive line and linebacker group to watch get after Diego Pavia here in the coming weeks, Coach Drew, as we go into holiday bowl season, which we love here on the Midwest Blitz, that people from Iowa and people from Indiana who love people from Iowa and people from Chicago who love people from Iowa get to root on the Hawkeyes as they take on Mr. Pavia. Although I will say about Pavia, it might be fun to watch him take a hit or two, but I respect the guy. He's a hell of a football player, physical dude. I don't know. I think that Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award probably could have went to Mendoza, but I feel like somebody in the background was tabulating votes for all the other awards, and they're like, we better give Pavia something because Mendoza won all the other quarterback awards.
Well, Mendoza, I believe, is he listed as a junior or senior?
He's a junior.
It goes to the
Pavia?
senior. No, Pavia is a senior.
The Golden Arm goes to a senior. Thank you,
Yep.
Coach Drew. That clears that up. My bad.
Yeah, but I do want to let you. It was part of my whole
I
bill
messed it up.
because I want
leave
the
that
SEC
in there. I deserve a little slap for that. I now remember in my younger days I did read that, but I was looking through the awards earlier and I was like, Pavia got one, good for him. But yeah, it is a senior award. You are correct, sir.
No, that needs to be noted because fixing votes and committees for the SEC is a thing around here. I'm not pressing an agenda, so I'm not deleting that. I need eyewitnesses that this happens.
Thank you, Coach Drew.
Well, somebody won back-to-back Coach of the Year. You don't see that a lot. Who was that?
Boy, was there a guy that won back-to-back Coach of the Year? Could it be a coach from the Big Ten? Could it be Kurt Cignetti of the Indiana Hoosiers? Could it be Kurt Cignetti, the savior from James Madison, the savior from Elon, the savior from IUP, the former guy that Nick Saban wouldn't make an on-field coach because he was too good at being a recruiting coordinator? Yes, Kurt Cignetti is back-to-back National Coach of the Year. The Hoosiers of lost 2 games in the last 2 years. How do you top this, Coach Drew? This, as we record on Sunday night, I know nobody watches 60 Minutes anymore, but 60 Minutes was doing a story about Kurt Cignetti and his turnaround at Indiana before we came on here. And I told a couple family members that weren't even big sports fans earlier, I was like, I didn't think anybody would ever even talk about Indiana football for 1 second in the national media, including ESPN and a lot of other people who we've discussed throughout the season that really only cover the SEC and really only cover teams that they have a financial obligation to. But Kurt Cignetti is too good to ignore. Who is a better coach than Kurt Cignetti? I'm going to gush for a second. Somebody said, an Italian fellow I was listening to, who I like a lot, he said, Kurt Cignetti's the second best Italian football coach ever behind Vince Lombardi. Now I ask you this, Coach Drew, do you think Vince Lombardi could walk in there and take a 2-10 Indiana team and lead them to a 13-0 undefeated season? And I hate to disrespect Vince Lombardi. That's not my intention here, or to disrespect any of the legends of the game. Kurt Cignetti has solidified himself as one of the ultimate coaching legends in the history of football at any level, pro, college, below, above, beneath, afterlife, pre-life, whatever. Who could outcoach Kurt Cignetti? Who could do what he did with recruiting? Now, he had help from Pam Whitten and Scott Dolson, the athletic director, the university president and athletic director. But who could do this, Coach Drew? I mean, pick a coach, fictional or in reality, that could do better than what Kurt Cignetti has done. I'm not sure that there is one. And I love Kurt Cignetti. He saved IU football. I grew up watching IU football. It was a rough time for decades for me and my dad. Rest in peace, Dad. My dad loved IU football, and I didn't think anybody could turn this around, especially as fast and efficiently. Fast, physical, relentless is the saying in Bloomington now, Coach Drew. Is there anybody that could do this? Never daunted, never falter. Through the battle, so brave and true. Indiana, Indiana. We're all for you. Is there another coach that's ever done anything like this, Coach Drew?
Not in modern history that we're looking at. Now, there has been coaches that have taken over rosters that have not been coached well, but at Indiana, there was nothing. If you look at what was there to start with, I mean, some might say, well, he took players from JMU and brought them over. Well, that's not fair because a lot of people say JMU's not a good program. So, that's a contradiction right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, they're going to give you a lot of excuses why Kurt Cignetti did how he's been successful. But like you said, with the current state of football and how everything is, he did the right thing. He brought in the right people to play the right positions, and it's paying off. I mean, look, he brought in Fernando Mendoza in the offseason, and that was even the best transfer quarterback.
Can I give a shout out to Curtis Rourke that's gone? And obviously Mendoza just won the Heisman, but D'Angelo Pons, Aiden Fisher, and Elijah Surratt. And I know I'm leaving some guys out. There is no trio of players on this roster that I enjoy more than Pons, Fisher, and Surratt. These guys are all ball all the time. As somebody who's coached, and Coach Drew still coaches baseball. I used to coach football. There are no kids I've ever watched that I would be more proud to be associated with in terms of on-field execution and off-field personality, class, demeanor, hard work, film study. You hear these kids interviewed, Fisher, Pons, and Surratt, and they are absolute gems. They're the kid that you imagine, I would be so proud if I got to coach that guy. They're those type of kids. They're all ball. They're all school classwork. Get your classwork done. Get your film study in. Do what you're supposed to do on the football field and represent your school, your family, your university, all this stuff. These guys are so great. Elijah Surratt, Pons, and Aiden Fisher. Aiden Fisher's backstory, Coach Drew, is, if I told you this, so Aiden Fisher's dad died on his 11th birthday, okay? So Aiden Fisher loses his father and then is playing sports, all these things like a lot of us did when we were young. And then his mom starts dating and she ends up marrying a guy, ends up becoming his stepdad. And if you're familiar with these type of situations, the stepdad is often not accepted by the children, all this stuff. So his mom ends up marrying this guy. He's a good guy. The kids, Aiden and his sisters, end up loving this guy and accepting them as their father. This guy ends up dying, I think, of cancer while he's in high school. So now this kid and his family have endured two massive tragedies in less than 7 years. There was an interview on Big Ten Network where they had his mom there and they had Kurt Cignetti there and they had Aiden Fisher there. And this guy's been like the man of the house on and off since he was 11 years old. It's hard not to love a guy that had that level of trauma and achieves at the level that he achieves. And he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a badass. He's a warrior on the football field. And to have a guy like Aiden Fisher on your team, he's one of my favorite Hoosiers. I don't want to say he's my only favorite, but I think that Pons, Fisher, and Surratt of those JMU guys are the guys that I really love to watch. And they're all, I think Surratt's not quite as outspoken as, well, none of them talk a lot, but Surratt is so shy. But maybe he would hear that and say, well, they just don't let me talk enough. I don't know. But all three of these kids are so likable and so hardworking, and they execute on the field in such a way that it just displays character as somebody who's coached. Because you don't go out there, you watch that back shoulder fade ball that Surratt caught in the Big Ten championship game. Watch the one he caught against Oregon. Watch all the pass interferences they didn't call at the beginning of the Oregon game, and he just muscles through it and doesn't complain. Although Signetti jumped the ref's ass when they weren't calling it, which is his job as the coach. But, dude, this team is special, and it's extra special because of where they are. And as us as IU fans, we have never seen anything remotely like this. And I know that Ohio State has classy kids on their team. They do. We're going to talk about Caleb Downs winning the Thorpe Award here in a minute. We already talked about Logan Jones at Iowa winning the Remington. There are other teams that have classy kids, hardworking kids, and all this stuff. But as IU fans, we've never seen it come together like this, where it was these kids that you were really proud to root for, and on the field, they're kicking ass and taking names. They're physical. They are the never daunted, never falter under pressure, as the fight song says. And it's like a dream, Coach Drew, that I just haven't woken up from yet. I guess the dream has to end eventually. But as IU fans, there is nothing better as a football fan than watching these kids. You get to be proud of them as players and as kids because they're so classy.
Yeah, I mean, Curtis Rourke walked so Mendoza can run, right? Like that's the saying.
Yeah.
I mean, he was an Ohio Bobcat, played during the COVID time.
MAC Conference Player of the Year. Yeah, MAC Conference Player of the Year.
Came in, and then they get Mendoza and Signetti. Again, he finds guys that helps his system. It's his system that he's running. There's a system. There's a chain of command. If you do this, you do that. It's a well-coached team. And I feel like sometimes, again, we talk about this too, chess and checkers and all these other stuff. One of the hardest things that people don't realize that they do, right, is, I'm going to go get this quarterback who's really good but doesn't run my offense correctly. And then they get put in a corner, you lose 1 or 2 games, and that's all it takes. You're only gifted 2 games to lose per season. As we've seen with BYU and Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
So it is tough.
So Caleb Downs, who was voted by a lot of people the best player in college football overall at the start of the year, wins the Jim Thorpe Award. This guy was first drawing up plays as a 4-year-old with his football action figures, as the legend goes. He's the son and nephew of NFL players. His dad and his dad's brother, I believe, both played in the NFL. I think that, Drew, he wins the Thorpe Award this year, named for Jim Thorpe, one of my favorite athletes of all time, legendary pro baseball player, Olympic legend Jim Thorpe. He wins the Thorpe Award as much for his role as a captain/quarterback of the best defense of this college football season, as much for that as he did for the stats that he put up. He honestly put up heavier stats the last 2 years, but this Ohio State defense, if you read their stat line, and we've talked about this throughout the season on Midwest Blitz, no one player really put up a lot of stats. It was a group effort, because if you've ever played football and played on a good defense or a bad defense, there is a trend. If the defense is really good, one guy doesn't make all the tackles, because if they run left, they make the tackle over there. If they throw left, they make a play over there. It's balanced across the board because the offense has nowhere to go. And part of the reason that this Ohio State defense was instituted so well with Coach Drew's doppelganger at defensive coordinator Matt Patricia is because you had Caleb Downs, a football savant, a guy who was born to be a team captain, a guy that was born to be a captain and leader of a defense, there to help orchestrate the whole thing. I know that there were Notre Dame fans that thought Leonard Moore deserved consideration. He was a finalist for the award. That the reason that Caleb Downs won it is because he was the captain of the best defense in America. And honestly, Coach Drew, I was shocked at how quickly this Buckeye defense picked up where they left off last year after losing 8 NFL draft picks. And the returning 3 starters that didn't get drafted were Downs and Sonny Styles and his brother, Lorenzo Styles. This Buckeye defense has been off the charts, and Caleb Downs' leadership, in addition to his incredible athletic ability, are the catalyst for this. Downs returned punts over the last couple of years of his college career. He didn't return a punt this year. I think he had 2 interceptions this year, which are not heavy numbers, but he was back there. If you ever played Battleship and your battleship gets sunk every time, it's because there's a Caleb Downs on the other side who just knows what you're going to do. He knows what play they're going to run. He knows what play they're going to call. He reads body language. He reads alignments, formations. There was an awesome story that I just watched from his mother, who was talking about how in youth football, he was drawing up plays and watching football on TV before he even played youth football. In his first youth football season, he ran for like 46 touchdowns. And then the other parents came up with some awesome nickname for him, like The Truth or something like that. It wasn't The Truth. It was something more creative than that. But Caleb Downs deserves the Jim Thorpe Award. And I mean, this guy's got, I think he's a potential, not just Pro Bowler, but like he's got Hall of Fame written all over him. If you listen to the kid talk about football and then listen to his family, they're all so not just intelligent and good storytellers and very excited about what he's doing, but there's like an aura, dude. This guy is like a chosen one of being a captain of a defense. Stops the run, comes down the box, plays the pass, everything. Caleb Downs is an absolute legend at Ohio State, and he will be a legend in the NFL also. I don't have enough words or the right words to describe how excited I am for Downs heading into the NFL. The only problem for the rest of us is if you're not an Ohio State fan, you still have to play against this kid in the college football playoff. And he's a game wrecker, not just physically, but with his mind and in leading this defense. Coach Drew.
Yeah, this Ohio State defense is definitely special. It did carry over from one year to the next, followed by my doppelganger, Matt Patricia. So I will say this. As much as people want to say Leonard Moore should have got it over Downs, that's not true. There's a reason why these people get rewards, and all that stuff, because they play on good defenses. They did a lot of great stuff. It's not, and people need to stop the narrative from my side of the fandom that now Notre Dame is being punished. Well, if that was the case, then why did Jeremiah Love still win all these other awards? Keep saying rewards, but awards, right? Like, they're not being punished. It feels like we're being punished, but we're not.
Leonard
It
Moore
needs to
had a
stop.
great year. Leonard Moore had 5 interceptions. Leonard Moore is also going to have a great pro career. He's not pro eligible till next year, if I'm correct. He's a sophomore. But yeah, okay, D'Angelo Pons at Indiana. His stats this year as a first-team All-American are not as good as his stats last year, not as good as his stats the year before. Why? They stopped throwing at you. And when you're a DB and you're a stud, they stop throwing at you. And it's the same thing with Downs. Downs had 100 tackles at Alabama a couple of years ago. Last year, I believe he had about 80 tackles at The Ohio State. This year, he had about 60 total tackles and 2 interceptions and I think like 2 pass breakups. If I'm wrong, Ohio State fans, let me know in the comments. You always do. But it's not just the numbers that he puts up. It's not just the numbers that a player puts up. It's what did you do for the unit that you were associated with? And that's why Downs gets this award. And dude, Leonard Moore's a dog. I have nothing bad to say about Leonard Moore at all. Wish I got to see him play again this year, but yeah, Leonard Moore's a great player. And Leonard Moore will be back next year, and he definitely be a preseason favorite on the Thorpe Award watch list, without a doubt.
Yeah. And there was more people from the Big Ten who also got awards too. We have Lemon from USC who got the best wide receiver. Now he's a junior. He's probably coming out to the draft. He's probably going to be one of those high picks. What do you think about that, Nick? Do you think he's going to go in the first round?
Mackay Lemon is definitely worthy of a first-round draft pick. Mackay Lemon is a route-running artist. And, in that USC offense, which was one of, if not the most fun, high-flying offense to watch in all of college football, he's going to be a great NFL player. And here's a question that I brought up because this is the Midwest Blitz, and we talk more to Ohio State fans than we do USC fans. But Mackay Lemon did win the Fred Biletnikoff Award winner. Fred Biletnikoff, Florida State Seminole back in the day. I think he was teammates with Lee Corso and Burt Reynolds back in the day. Old Oakland Raider. He was the first guy that had the sticky black shit all over his hands that looked like he had pine tar on his hands. That was Fred Biletnikoff. That's the namesake of the award. Go watch old NFL films about Fred Biletnikoff. He used to puke in the locker room before every game because he was so nervous. Like, he had nerves. He would chain smoke cigarettes. That's like old school NFL film stuff. Fun stuff about Fred Biletnikoff. But back to Mackay Lemon. So Mackay Lemon wins the Fred Biletnikoff Award for the nation's finest wide receiver over Jeremiah Smith. So I had a question. Is he better than Jeremiah Smith? Is he better than Carnell Tate? And I had to go crunch numbers, and Lemon is spectacular this year. We're not talking about this to detract from Lemon and how good he is. There's no question that he's been spectacular this year, but him and Jeremiah Smith's stats, Drew, they're almost identical. One had 79 receptions. The other had 80. One had about 1,100 yards. The other one had 1,050. I mean, they're within 100 yards of each other receiving wise. Both had 11 touchdown receptions. I wonder almost if the Biletnikoff Award winners, if I'm missing criteria, correct me if I'm wrong, they just realize Jeremiah Smith will be back next year. He has a chance to win the Biletnikoff Award next year, and Lemon's going pro, I think. So maybe that's why he wins it, because the numbers it's eerily similar. It's crazy. They're within 1 yard of each other in yards per catch. The whole thing was, when I looked at the numbers, it was bonkers. I'm like, oh, these are the two best wide receivers. Oh, their numbers are the same. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, and the last couple of wide receivers who have won that award have gone first round. So that almost is like, you win that award, you're going first round. So that just eases into what we were just talking about.
It's a more reliable predictor of being a first-round pick than the Heisman Trophy, honestly. The Blitnikoff is.
Yes, correct. And there's also another award. There's a lot of awards for Big Ten that have been represented in here. That's really nice and refreshing. If your conference starts with big, you're probably getting an award, whether it's Big Ten or Big 12. One of the things too, you got the Remington Trophy, which is famously named after a Nebraska player, but an Iowa guy got it. Logan Jones, who's probably going to be another first rounder. Any award you get at the end of the season, you're almost guaranteed to be first round. I think that to be true. Isn't that right, Big Nick? So we'll see what Logan Jones could do. Did he go to Iowa? Yes. That qualifies for first round. Did you win an awesome award? Yes. Did you look good on film? Also yes. It's almost like a layup for Logan Jones going in the first round. For sure.
If anybody wants to draft a center in the first round, it would be Logan Jones. If not, he's a second, third round guy. Somebody in the NFL who needs a leader on their offensive line will want Logan Jones for sure. He's not just a mind. Okay, I always go back to this when we talk about the center position, that the center position on the offensive line doesn't have to be the most physically overpowering necessarily. I always think about Jeff Saturday from the Indianapolis Colts. Saturday wasn't necessarily out there pancaking people and really like bodying people left and right. Although I think Logan Jones is a much better physical specimen than Saturday was. But Logan Jones has the mind, but he also has the athleticism and freakish strength to go to the pro level and do more than just pick up blitz protections and be the quarterback of the offensive line. He's a guy who can snap the ball and pull around and execute a kick out block or pull and be a lead blocker on a play. He's a really dynamic player on the offensive line for Iowa, and looking forward to seeing where he ends up. He'll be a fun guy. He'll be a guy you're going to be watching Sunday Night Football here in a couple of years, and then someone will be drawing up plays of like, see on this long touchdown run, and they're going to draw it up for you, and Logan Jones is going to snap the ball, pull around the edge, and pick up some block to spring a long touchdown or a critical touchdown on the goal line. And you're going to be like, oh, we saw him on the Midwest Blitz. We saw him as an Iowa Hawkeye. The Iowa Hawkeyes pumping out offensive linemen, man. I'm looking forward to the bowl game, Coach Drew, for Iowa. I really am.
Yeah. And speaking of bowl games, do we have any bowl games up this week?
Oh, gosh, Coach Drew. It's a Christmas miracle. It's an early Christmas miracle. Tuesday, we got Troy versus Jacksonville State, which is not the most exciting game for some of you. But look, if you're lucky enough to have time around the holidays to spend with family, turn on these bowl games. This narrative that bowl games don't matter and bowl games, okay, maybe they don't matter. Maybe you think they don't matter. Bowl games are fun to watch. Most of these teams are excited to play in these games. Most of these players are not opting out for the NFL draft. Anyone that tells me, well, no, the players opt out for the NFL draft, you just told me you're a casual. If you're watching the Midwest Blitz, you're not a casual. You're a real football fan. These games are going to be fun to watch. Troy versus Jacksonville State Tuesday. Wednesday, Old Dominion plays South Florida. Old Dominion has a linebacker that had 146 tackles last year. They stood up, Coach Drew, to the Indiana Hoosiers at the line of scrimmage, the first game of the year, if that tells you anything. They play South Florida, who made waves early in the season, has a very nice ball club. That could be a fun game to watch. Thursday, we got Missouri State versus Arkansas State. Then Friday, Coach Drew, the college football playoffs start officially as Bama takes on Oklahoma. The winner of that contest gets the reward of taking on my Indiana Hoosiers in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. Whether that's a reward or not will remain to be seen. And by remain to be seen, Indiana is going to beat the shit out of either one of these teams, especially Alabama, if they have to show up to the Rose Bowl and play the Hoosiers. But the college football playoff does start Friday night. Bama fans, leave your comments. Coach Drew, if Bama is lucky enough to beat Oklahoma, they will have negative rushing yards against the Indiana Hoosiers. Write it down. Take a picture. We'll be betting. We'll have prop bets on that one. We haven't focused on gambling much lately, but that's my pre-game gambling special. Alabama will not run for positive net rushing yards if they play Indiana. Oklahoma would have a chance, though, because John Mateer can run the ball. And I like Ty Simpson for Alabama. Kalen DeBoer is a good coach if a good coach doesn't have a running game in their offense. You know, Kalen DeBoer used to be an Indiana coach, Drew.
Was he?
I'm glad you asked. Yeah, he was the offensive coordinator with Tom Allen. Him and Michael Penix left and went to Washington. I don't blame either one of them. I like Kalen DeBoer, actually. I'm just talking shit as an Indiana fan right now. But, yeah, to see Bama will be an underdog when they play Indiana, if and when they play them. So will Oklahoma. But just process that. Let that tickle your ears, football fans, that Indiana would be favored against Alabama or Oklahoma. There's nothing more shocking. I'm shocked that I'm saying it out loud. I'm shocked that an Indiana Hoosier won the Heisman Trophy. I'm shocked that our coach has won Coach of the Year 2 years in a row. I'm not shocked because I haven't been paying attention, but you have to understand the nightmare of being an Indiana football fan for the last, Drew, I'll be 40 next year. I've never seen anything like this, and I've loved football my whole life. So it's pretty awesome. If you're an Indiana fan, you definitely understand what I'm saying. If you've ever been a fan of a team your whole life and they never really did anything noteworthy, gosh. Hey, Coach Drew, I heard a rumor that you met Flash Gordon.
I did meet Flash Gordon. And
Coach Drew met Flash Gordon. This sounds like the beginning of a Midwest goodbye, Coach Drew.
I mean, it could be. The way I met Flash Gordon was kind of weird. I used to be a card collector. I used to have my own card company before I sold it to my buddy. We were going halfsies on it, and I decided to go a different direction. Nothing wrong with that. We all make decisions. The card company is still living well. I'd be on, like, in the storybook, the very first chapters, and then disappear. Anyways, so we're at this card store, or card show last year, and I see this big, huge guy, and I see Flash Gordon, and I'm like, wait a minute. Then I pull out my phone like a Pokédex, which is, I'm going to make another reference here in a second. And I look at it and I go, wait, that's Flash Gordon. And I walk over there, I start talking to him. He has some photos from Ted and all this stuff. Ted 2 he was in. And I started talking to him. He's from Chicago. And he's like, yeah, I'm just doing this to get my kids some gifts for the holidays. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm like, hold on, wait 1 second. After I got done talking to him and got the whole starstruck, I was like, all right, cool. I was like, hold on, give me 1 second. I'm going to come back with my friend. Now, his section was off to the side, away from everyone else, because it was supposed to be like a special signing section. Now, there was another main section that was doing signings, like Lovie Smith was there and all these other people were there. His was like a subsection he bought. He wasn't invited into the main show, but it was still funny meeting Flash Gordon. I also wanted to make another Pokemon reference. When you're referring to when Alabama, if they win and they play Indiana, it's kind of like dropping off your Pokemon at the nursery and then coming back. DeBoer's just going to be like, oh yeah, I totally forgot. Oh shit, what is this? I mean, it's like a monster. Indiana's going to be like, they're like, oh my God, that's a monster. And Signetti's like, yep, this is what I created. He's going to be like, I was going to add one more thing. I was going to be like, it's kind of like a bad reference to the Oakland Athletics, how they make fun of, like, everything. DeBoer's going to be like, they got working water fountains now? That wasn't here when I was here.
Coach Drew.
The stadium upgrades are going to be great.
So I was lucky enough to officiate baseball at the Oakland Athletics complex in Arizona and a lot of other major league teams' facilities out there. And the Oakland A's, this has been a couple years, their training facility was like a sandlot softball complex that you might have played beer softball with your friends at. It's pretty insane that you had a major league baseball team and that was the facility that you had. And I know somebody's listening to this and they're like, this fucking dumbass doesn't know what he's talking about with these facilities. Like, I was out there. It was by far the worst and in the most dangerous part of Phoenix. Phoenix is a beautiful city. If I ever leave the Midwest, Phoenix will probably be my destination if I don't move to Florida. Honestly, though, Phoenix is probably nicer than most parts of Florida, even though I like Florida. Oh, my God, Coach Drew. The Oakland A's spring training stuff out there is just brutally bad. I know all that's changing, but God, it was bad. Yikes. Yeah. Bama, Oklahoma. I think Bama is a 1.5 point favorite in that game on Friday. We're not doing game previews yet, kids, but Do you have any thoughts on this? Do we think Mateer is going to be good? He ends the season with 12 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I'm high on John Mateer if and when he's healthy and ready to go. I know some people like to bust my balls because he got hurt and he hasn't played that well at times. Do you have any thoughts about this? What do you think, Coach Drew?
Well, I'm going to ask you some pretty straight line forward questions, and you could just answer them how you will. Is Nick Saban coaching Alabama? Yes or no?
No.
Did Alabama win the SEC championship? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Did they get into the college football playoff because the committee just decided that Nick Saban was still there? Yes or no?
Yes, Coach Drew. Well, if this is a yes
nope,
or no,
it was yes or no. This is the government.
Okay. Thank you, government.
You only can answer yes or no. You can't describe anything.
I've never said that.
We're handling this like the government. But yes, this isn't your, as I'm not referring to him, this isn't your Nick Saban Alabama. I'm sorry, but I don't think Alabama has a lot of cool things in their facilities and a lot of great things. But I think Oklahoma hosting this game is going to be a difference maker. Home field advantage in the NFL does matter sometimes, right? But college football. Yeah, college football, there's games where the top 10 teams go to maybe a team that's like middle of the pack, 40, 50, as far as like a mid-average team, and they go in there and that place is rocking and they get like upsetted or it's a close game. It's a very different ball game. I think Oklahoma's going to be excited to hold it down, and I can just see Mateer running around and just beating Bama.
Coach Drew, here's how smart I am or how not smart I am. I like to pretend that I'm the smartest football man in the world. I'm not really, but I like to pretend. It's fun. You guys enjoy it. If you didn't, you wouldn't be here. Dude, the Oklahoma fan base will be rabid at this game. Now, let's play the other side of the coin. Oklahoma already went to Alabama and won, but so the old axiom, it's hard to beat a good team twice in the same year. It's why I'm afraid for my Hoosiers to play Ohio State again. Say the same thing about the Oregon Ducks for Indiana, but dude, Oklahoma hosting their first ever college football playoff home game. I mean, we were at the Notre Dame-Indiana game last year. What was that atmosphere like? And there were a lot of Indiana fans there. But the Notre Dame fans, when they got the lead, oh boy, my Hoosiers were shucked like an ear of corn. The atmosphere at these college football playoff home games, if any of you ever get a chance to go to one, by God, go. Get the best deal you can on a ticket. It is crazy, isn't it, Coach Drew? It feels like a national championship game atmosphere, like a Final Four atmosphere in basketball when you're in your own home stadium. Now, I was a visiting fan, but dude, that was lit, wasn't it?
It was so fun.
Yeah.
Almost a year ago today. Friday would be a year.
Will be. Cheers, my friend, on that.
It's where this all began. Well, kind of. The back lore of this actually started playing college football, and we said, why don't we just do a podcast since we're talking about football?
Yeah, all the football experiences that we've had, going to Notre Dame games mostly, although I'm going to get you to an IU game next year. That's not optional, Coach Drew. It's a work obligation now.
Yes. I have to take it to my other bosses.
What a fun trip, my friend. Yeah, to the fans again, the college football playoff home game atmosphere is insane. I mean, we've been to Notre Dame USC a couple times. We went to Notre Dame Ohio State. I was at Michigan, Indiana at Indiana last year, which was intense. And home field advantage in college football is more palpable than it is in the NFL, like Coach Drew said. But when you get to that college football playoff game and it's a home game, oh my Lord. It is electricity in the air. And that Notre Dame IU game we went to last year, it was at least a 0-degree wind chill. I mean, fans had every opportunity to sit there and be rubbing their hands and worried about being cold. Did that feel like a 0-degree fans are upset to be there type of atmosphere?
No, I think everybody enjoyed it. I mean, for the most part, it was enjoyable for everybody. Even though it got a little out of hand at some points, but overall, it was a fun experience.
Yeah, I mean, even the Indiana fans were in good spirits until, it did. It got out of hand for the Indiana fans, but even the Indiana fans were enthusiastic through most of the game. packed. If you can afford to pay $1,000 for a ticket, or finagle your way into one that doesn't cost $1,000 and get in there to one of these games, it's different. Like, I went to, Coach Drew, you know this, but for the fans that haven't gotten to do it, me and my dad drove to Des Moines, Iowa in 2016. Indiana played Kentucky in the second round of the NCAA tournament. IU Kentucky, huge basketball rivalry, obviously. And me and my dad drove out there, got a hotel room, went to the game. And I was surprised at, so in the NCAA tournament, it's different. So you buy a session ticket. So you don't have a 50-50 crowd. You have a mix of all these different fans. And it was weird. It was a great game. Indiana won a close game. Yogi Ferrell, point guard. Hoosiers.
Hoosiers.
Park Tudor, a couple miles down the street from where I sit right now at my condo. But that NCAA tournament game, Drew, it wasn't that loud. Now, it would get loud that you had a section of like Kansas fans, and then I can't remember all the other teams that were there, that you had a section of these other fans that were neutral. So when one team would get something going, then fans from the other teams might start cheering, but mostly it was kind of quiet. It was eerie because you expect, to me, I drove out there, I expected this loud atmosphere, and the IU and Kentucky fans would get loud, but the stadium doesn't unite in any kind of cheering. It's really weird in the NCAA tournament on those neutral site games, but these college football playoff games are not like that at all. They are insane.
It's not the same. I mean, again, I think for Indiana, losing to Notre Dame is a blessing now in a year of reflection, because Sig's already coached in a playoff game. So now that you're undefeated and have a Big Ten championship, it's not like this is your first time going to the playoffs. I think the expectation is still you want to win the national champion, as all these teams are participating. But at least you're not like, oh, we're undefeated. That's never happened. We won the Big Ten championship. That hasn't happened in so many years. Oh, we're going to the college football playoffs. Like, no, it's like we were here last year. We played Notre Dame. We know what it takes. We can prep. I know what it feels like. I mean, do I see jitters? A lot of teams last year, if I recall, all the teams that had byes were slow out of the gate because everybody was so emotionally charged, whether it's one way or another from the week before, from hosting those games because of how intense they were.
True.
It's a different animal, this 12-man format.
I'll say this
teams.
about Indiana playing in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. So the old school expectation was the Big Ten champion goes to the Rose Bowl. Indiana hasn't been in the Rose Bowl since 1967. There are a lot of old money IU alumni who are going to make that trip to California for the Rose Bowl. My late father, his dream was to see Indiana make it back to the Rose Bowl before the modern college football playoff started. But there will be no shortage of Indiana fans there. And I'm sure there won't be a shortage of Alabama or Oklahoma fans either. But the Rose Bowl really means something to Indiana fans, since they've only ever been there once, and they lost to O.J. Simpson and the USC Trojans back in the day. But this Rose Bowl situation means a lot to Indiana fans. And Coach Drew was here in the war room with me when they announced the playoff field and announced that Indiana would be the home team, the listed home team in the Rose Bowl. And I started cheering. And I don't think that he fully grasped why I was so excited that Indiana got to play in the Rose Bowl. But it's because our whole fan base, for decades, we thought, well, Northwestern's made the Rose Bowl twice, and Illinois has been to the Rose Bowl, and all these other teams that are not necessarily cream of the crop Big Ten teams have been to the Rose Bowl, and we couldn't make it. So that might not mean anything to the rest of America, but it definitely means something to IU fans to go to the Rose Bowl. And you're going to hear it on TV when you watch the game.
There's definitely, I want to believe in this fantasy that there's these two Indiana, Illinois fans that live next to each other, and maybe during COVID or something, they're like, when the world gets back together, I bet you $100 that Illinois makes it to the Rose Bowl before Indiana. And they all chuckled and they all laughed, and the Illinois fans are like, we've been there, we've done that. And then they also doubled down and said a Heisman winner. I bet you 1,000. So there's like some guy that's like an Illinois fan who's like crying right now, and his Indiana fans laughing at his face because you're not only going to the Rose Bowl, won the Big Ten championship, you got a Heisman Trophy winner too. First ever.
It's unreal, buddy. It is unfreaking real. I'm here for it. Like I said, it's the dream I haven't woken up from yet. Deacon would be happy to hear that my computer's on 10%, but it hasn't died yet, and we're at the end of the Midwest Goodbye.
So we're going to be wrapping up here. Coach Drew signing off.
Hey, enjoy the holidays, enjoy bowl games with friends and family. It's what the holidays are all about. Drink some eggnog.